Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions. Dr. Leslie Dobson, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. I am super excited about our time together. And like we talked about before we hit record, everybody has a story. And our passion is to help them tell it. So with your permission, we're going to start with where you were born, go all the way up to today. And then we want to talk about this book that you have that's just amazing and talk about your practice too. Will that work?
Sounds great.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being here. So where were you born?
I was actually born in Toronto, Canada.
Okay. Did you grow up there?
No, around, I want to say second or third grade, I don't remember. We won, is it the National Citizenship Lottery?
Ooh, okay.
Something of the sort. So we all moved over to California and Florida.
Okay, cool. So did you grow up in California and Florida or just?
Both, but most of the time I was in Southern California, which is, an amazing but also very difficult place to grow up as a woman.
And that's where your practice is, right? In Long Beach?
My practice is in Long Beach. I hope to move it somewhere bigger and get more space, maybe more into Orange County, but I'm in Long Beach and then I see clients all over Los Angeles and Orange County.
Oh, cool. So growing up in Southern California, what was your favorite thing?
Ooh, shopping?
I love it. So growing up, who was the most influential person to you?
Probably my father,
Yeah.
I would say.
Why is that?
Within reach, it was my father. He's a lawyer and he had this ability to just cut and I really appreciated his assertive communication. You know, he would say, I'm going away for the weekend. I know you guys, because I have three sisters, I know you guys aren't going to follow my rules. So here's a contract. If you choose to throw a party, then you are going to decide your consequences. Sign here, and I'll see you when I get back.
I love that. So an actual contract with his four daughters.
Yes. And we obliged. We often would get our friends to help with the consequences, which might be vacuuming the entire house or painting a wall to fix it.
Yeah. I love it. So he was negotiating with you from an early age.
Very early, very
I
early. And I
love
think
it. That
that
is so cool.
it lent to my appreciation of lawyers and my career in forensic psychology.
Oh, absolutely. So in high school, where did you graduate from high school? Which high school?
Menlo Park High School.
Okay. Did you
So
have a favorite
not
subject?
beachfront in Orange County.
Did you have a favorite subject?
Hmm. I honestly, I didn't attend that much.
You're kidding.
So I was the student where if my parents actually wrote a note for me,
Mhm.
the school would call and say, "Did she forge that?" Because they got so used to my signature faking my parents' signature.
Wow. I love this. This is so cool. So you were a rebel without a cause.
I worked at a tanning salon down the street from the school.
Yeah.
And I bargained with my teachers. So if I didn't have to go to class, maybe I would set up the cones for PE and then I would go to work at the tanning salon.
Good for you. Okay. So really no favorite subject in high school. Did you play any sports at all?
I played soccer.
Yeah.
I played
So you
soccer.
enjoyed it? I can tell you
I
enjoyed it.
loved I love soccer and I love swimming. We had a big Olympic sized pool at the school.
That's
And
cool.
in California, those are great sports.
I love it. So after high school, where do you go?
So after high school, my parents got divorced,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and I really decided I needed a break from what felt like quite a superficial environment of Orange County.
Yeah.
And I flew to Colorado in a blizzard, and I interviewed there for school. And I thought, this is it. I love it. Like, let's take on this challenge. And I started at Colorado State University.
Oh, wow. Okay. So is that in Fort Collins?
Yes.
Okay. So what was your favorite thing about going to school there?
The sense of community, I think, was amazing. I started playing in poker tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
I started playing Texas Hold'em.
What made you do that?
I met people and they started teaching me, and then I was good at it. I was good at bluffing. I was good at pushing people to their limits, all in stakes. And I kept winning. And I won a championship in Denver, and it just became the community I was around there.
Oh, that's awesome. I could never do that. Like in 5 seconds, you can tell if I'm happy, if I'm sad, if I'm mad, if I'm right. I mean, it's like I don't have the poker face. I'm no good at the bluffing thing. So I totally respect that. That's cool. So you win a poker championship. That's awesome. And you graduate from Colorado State with a degree in.
Well, I didn't graduate. I transferred. I did study abroad, and I moved
Okay.
to England.
Oh, awesome. So how long
And
were you
so
in England?
I was in England for about 2 years. I needed to come home because I had a near-death experience with a surgery.
Oh,
Um, so I came home, and then the only school I had applied to was a master's degree in London. So I had to go back.
okay.
And I needed to rehabilitate myself enough to get back from my master's degree.
Wow. So you come back here, you do rehab, and you sort of fight your way back to London for your master's. So
Yeah,
you
I had
go
an
ahead.
ovarian tumor, and when the tumor was removed, they nicked my bowel, and I was septic, and I passed out, almost died, woke up with a colostomy. I was 24, 25,
Yeah.
and I had to live with a colostomy for 6 months.
Wow.
And I'll never forget, because I had to learn to walk again. The incision is, up your entire center.
Right.
But I'll never forget, the only thing that they gave me in the hospital was a handout for dating other people with colostomies.
What?
That was the mental health awareness for a 25-year-old who just lost her intestines.
Oh my goodness gracious. So you had a colostomy at the same time that you were in rehab. That couldn't have been easy.
It was very challenging when you don't have a core,
Right.
you know, to get your body back. And then once you do heal, you have to have the colostomy reversed if you're lucky enough.
Right.
And then that means you're ripping open your stomach again and having to do all the rehabilitation again.
Because for people that don't know, they're opening it up and they're tearing those muscles. And so then the muscles are trying to get back, right? Because you're cutting them, right? So
Mhm.
then the muscles try to get back, then you're going in and cutting it again. My goodness. I mean, it's just piling one on top of the other, it seems like.
It was it was the first time in my entire life that I thought about suicide.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry.
I I have never thought about it again, but I was in such a dark place,
Yeah.
anticipating more surgeries, more rehab, more dysfunction. And I'll never forget that moment, because I have that in me when I work with clients now, that darkness, that depth that pain can take us to. I'm
Mhm.
so appreciative in a way that I can understand and really empathize.
Yeah. Well, you've been through it, right? And it's, one of the things we believe heavily on this program, especially with all the life stories that we've heard, is these things are allowed to happen to us to prepare us to be able to help somebody in the future. It's like what you do every single day, right? You come alongside somebody, put your arm around them, and you say, okay, I've been through something similar to this, and this is how I dealt with it, right? That kind of thing. And it's, it equips us and prepares us to be able to help people in the future. And that's literally what you do every single day with your practice. That's amazing. And for you to have to go through that, right, it helped prepare you and lay the foundation for what you're doing today. That's incredible. So you battle your way back, you fight hard, it sounds like, to get back to where you can go back to London or back to England for your master's. So you go back. Where do you get your master's? What school do you go to?
University of London, but the school was University College London.
Okay. And how long were you there? A couple of years?
Couple years, and then I wanted to do a doctorate there,
Right.
but the wait list was well over 5 years.
Ooh.
And so I came back and I went to Loma Linda University, but not everything transferred. So I had to do another master's degree at Loma Linda,
Wow.
and then I did my doctorate at Loma Linda as well.
Loma Linda's a good school.
It's a phenomenal school. I
It
mean,
really is.
psychology, it's phenomenal for psychology, but it's even more phenomenal for medicine.
Yeah. I know of it for medicine. But I didn't know its chops as far as psychology is concerned, but that's
Mhm.
pretty amazing. So Loma Linda, you earn your PhD and another master's degree. So now you have two masters and a PhD, right? You're running out of wall space for all these diplomas, right? So you
Yeah,
gotta
I
get a
just have a
bigger,
picture of
yeah,
shit on my wall.
yeah, you gotta get a bigger place, right? Yeah. Well, hey, therapy comes in all kinds of shapes and sizes, baby, right? Everything qualifies. We're good. So you earn your PhD, and then where do you go?
So at the end of the doctorate, you have to do an internship, and that's the first time you get paid to do anything, which was
Wow.
amazing. I think I got $29,000 for the year.
Wow. As a
So I went
PhD.
to
Uh,
I went to DC. I went to St. Elizabeth's Hospital, and yeah, at that time it was very difficult to get an internship. I think
mhm.
I applied to 100 places. I traveled the whole country on my own dime to interview.
Oh my goodness.
Tens of thousands of dollars because of the
Wow.
discrepancy of how many students there were and how many opportunities.
Right.
And then I landed at this world-renowned hospital with tons of White House cases and Secret Service interaction. Uh, but everyone was criminally insane. They had a violent crime they had committed and they had a severe mental illness. And I got to learn how to assess their violence and also how to work with them in a therapy setting. It was eye-opening.
So it's kind of like baptism by fire, right? You just kind of get thrown in, and it's the most difficult stuff you could possibly deal with. Did you ever think about maybe some baby steps to start with, like ease your way into it?
Well, I did some experiences throughout my doctorate that I didn't get paid for,
Gotcha.
and that was more drinking from the fire hose
So
when
that so
I
that
when I walked into the LA
that
County
prepared you for
Jail.
this?
Yes.
Wow. So you did that for how long?
I was in DC for 1 year, and then I I got a job, a fellowship working with high-risk sexual predators in San Francisco.
So, okay, hold on. So for a year, you're working with the criminally insane. Then you go to violent sexual predators. Wow. Okay.
Yes,
So
but this time there was no security, and we were just on
naturally,
an outpatient basis.
naturally. So you're just kind of out there on your own on an island, right? Yeah. This just keeps getting better and better. So so how long are you in San Francisco?
So I was there for about a year again because
Yeah.
I at the time my fiance and I were both offered positions at Atascadero State Hospital, which
Okay.
is a maximum security facility with violent offenders who also have severe mental illness.
Okay.
There's about 1,200 inmates, patients walking freely throughout the day, every day.
And you're in the middle of it.
You're in the middle of it, and that is in Central California.
Right. Right. Yeah. For people that don't know, it's kind of Central Valley, California kind of thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So Atascadero, and how long were you? How long were you at Atascadero?
about 6 years until I got pregnant
Okay. So,
because I had a very high ranking gang member come to me in the hospital and say they're taking bets on who's going to kick your belly.
oh no.
And I thought, I'm done. I'm leaving.
Wow. So, yeah, I can only imagine. So, what made you stay there for 6 years?
A lot of it was interest, but as my own trauma accrued, seeing violence every single day and being assaulted myself, I started to stay because I felt stuck. I I didn't know what a psychologist could do outside of a government job. I really hadn't been informed, educated, and I hadn't looked myself. And I was also stuck in the student loan repayment program.
Right.
And I wanted to get to 10 years of public service. And I felt like I could not leave. And finally, I put my physical health first, even if it meant $500,000 of student loans that weren't going to get repaid.
So, the entire time that you were in school, all that time, you had two master's degrees, or pardon me, you earned two master's degrees, a PhD, a bachelor's, right?
Mhm.
All of that, and nobody ever prepared you for this is what it looks like to have your own practice?
No,
Oh,
no, no
man,
one ever taught me the business side of adulting.
that is just crazy. Okay. So you work with violent offenders or criminally insane. You work with violent sexual predators. I mean, what a resume. You work in a prison for 6 years. You leave the prison basically for your own safety and the safety of your unborn child. Where do you go from there?
I went to the VA.
Of course you did.
I
But
specialized
this
in,
is still the 10-year thing, right? You're still working on the 10-year plan. Okay, I got it. So
yes.
when you went to the VA, you were working with you're working with people that have major trauma in their lives. I mean, even right, some of them even more than what you've dealt with in the past. So you mentioned in passing a second ago, you mentioned being a victim of assault. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, there were many times where I was verbally threatened in the prison. Um, there was one time where I was pushed against a wall and I had my breasts grabbed and I felt like I was going to probably be raped, but my alarm was triggered fast enough where people helped me.
Yeah.
Um, and there are other times where I was picked up and moved or thrown against a wall so that a fight could continue or so that a rescue could happen.
Wow.
And then I witnessed people just get completely physically assaulted. My friends, it was pretty horrifying at times.
Yeah. So let me just ask you this because I'm legitimately curious, and I know our listeners are. What what sort of frame of mind do you have to get yourself into to go into a prison every day like that and work?
I think that's a great question, and a big part of becoming a mother is why I can answer that question,
Okay.
because I realized that I had to put on this invisible uniform every day to go to work, and I wasn't taking it off to be vulnerable with my kid.
Yeah.
And I couldn't keep doing that transition to get myself into this headspace of I'm going to see trauma, violence, impulsive people. I'm going to have horrible things said to me. I'm going to hear horrifying stories, but it can't go inside me. It has to just be around me. And when I exit the facility, it has to stay there.
Yeah.
And that's a very hard place to be every day.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I mean, I'm trying to so so the idea of those sort of two personas, right? The one of the mom and the one of the I'm literally fighting for my life every day, the entire time that I'm at work. That has got to be exhausting.
It was extremely exhausting. And I found myself having very bad postpartum depression and anxiety, and being very detached from my first little girl. And as soon as I sorted out the work stuff, all of it went away. And I felt so in love with her because I was back with myself.
So there was this complex sort of set of feelings that you were dealing with that, stress. I mean, let's be honest, this is a stressful thing. And then the baby comes,
Mhm.
right? And all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, I have to protect this child and I'm putting myself at risk every single day. And the child had already been threatened. We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.